Man, I maybe I didn't step in it the other day, but I made a statement that I'm going to partially retract. I said that batoning was a stupid skill. I would like to retract that. Pastor Joe Fox chimed in and he talked about some areas when he thought batoning was useful. So I'm going to pull back and say that batoning is not a survival skill, all right? And today we're going to demonstrate why. I got a couple of responses. The first one I want to respond to was stupid. And if I don't remember who made this comment. So if you're someone that we know and love, I apologize. It was a stupid comment. You said that of course you don't need the baton when all you live in is a pine forest. You said that about a video where I was literally, okay, sweet gum, live oak, one of the hardest woods there is. The USS Constitution, Old Ironsides herself, was made with live oak from this area, northeast Georgia. So there's a pine, live oak, sweet gum. I can't see the leaves on that. That's definitely a sweet gum. Anyway, we don't live in a pine forest. I know you heard the song Georgia in the Pines. We live in North Georgia. We have the most diverse species of oak anywhere on the planet. We have more species of oak here than anywhere else on the planet. We do have pine trees, but we're mostly hardwoods. So please don't say stupid things. I'm sorry, that was stupid. So what we're doing today is, someone else said, what else did they say? Oh, you can't make fires with dead wood, fallen wood, because it's wet and it's you can't start the fire. Okay, so today we're in the backyard. This is the top of a sweet gum tree that fell out during a tornado. How long ago was that?
In the spring.
Hey, in the spring. It's been on the ground for a couple of months. March, April, May. April. So April, May, June, July, August. It's on about 4 or 5 months. And it's a natural deadfall. I didn't cut or anything. It just fell out of the tree. It just has to be in the backyard, and I was saving it for winter to cut it up for firewood. So it's perfect for our demonstration purposes today. Sweet gum is a hardwood. It's a very wet wood. So when you first cut it, it's very heavy and dense, and then it dries. It loses a lot of its weight, but it's still a very tough hardwood. If you've ever used sweet gum for firewood, people don't like splitting it. Some people will say it's harder than hickory. I disagree. But then I know how to split it. I know how to, I'm bragging, listen to me, it's a humble brag. I know how to read the woods, I know how to split sweet gum. So in my opinion, sweet gum is a little easier than split than hickory, but it's still a very tough wood. So we're going to use it today to demonstrate to you that you do not need batoning to start a fire in the wet. I'm not going to make you mince it around while I do all this. I'll try to keep track of the time and let you know. We will pick you back up in a minute when I have the wood ready. I'm not going to use the tomahawk even for gathering this wood, okay? I'll tell you what, we'll keep you with us for a few minutes while I gather some more wood. If we have to cut it down, we will. Okay. Watch. What? There wasn't a saw. I didn't have a saw, and I didn't expend the energy to chop. All right, we'll pick you men up in a minute. All right, man, so it's been 20 minutes, 25 minutes, I'm not sure. It hasn't been very long. I have not touched any of this wood with anything other than my hands. I haven't used any tools, tomahawk or otherwise, and we're going to start a fire. Now, if you remember correctly, the objection was that you can't start a fire in the rain without batoning, or it's hard to start a fire in the rain without batoning. And I know you're thinking to yourself, well, it's not raining right now, so it's not a fair test, which I would say, you're right. This reminds me of a Bible story. So let's get some of this wood I'm going to use later. Okay, so maybe it's not like necessarily raining at the moment, but hopefully you'll agree this is a fair test. Actually, it might be too hard. All right, so today, two things. First off, we'll be using a kitchen match to start this because this isn't a video about fires, you know, how to make flame without matches. So we'll be using a kitchen match, and because we're all supposed to be preppers and survivalists and whatnot, you know, and we're prepped enough to have bushcraft knives and know how to baton, surely we're prepped enough to have a fire starter kit. So we're using a fire starter kit today. What you should have on your gear anyway, no matter what. This is not mine. I'm going to try this one. It was sent to me by a man named Bearded Archer. He goes by Bearded Archer. We wanted to use his today. He has spent his lifetime serving his country in various and sundry positions, and now he is moving on to serve veterans. And it sounds like he's kind of going to what most of us would consider a great setup. So we wanted to congratulate him and thank him for his encouragement over the years. If you knew, I don't know much about him, I just know him a little bit. My brother knows him better than I do, but he sounds like an incredibly interesting man. All right, so his fire starter kit is fat wood, and I gotta have a video on fat wood one day because men I admire and respect don't know what fat wood is. It hurt me deeply when I found that out. And it looks like it's mixed with, I'm not sure what that is. Maybe magnesium, maybe aluminum. I'm not sure why it would be aluminum though, but I think my brother told me when he sent it to me and I just forgot. So we are going to use this today. If this doesn't work, because I've never used it before, I think it will, but I weathered that down pretty good. I will go get my fire starter kit and we'll finish out with what I would normally carry. But we're going to see how the Bearded Archer's kit does here. Man, I hope I didn't overdo that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to get some of this off of my rock real quick. Hold on a second. Okay. I don't think anyone thinks this is cheating too bad. Okay. But there is still water on the wood and down in the... Now, if you don't have a fire starter kit, we don't need to be talking anyway. Your bushcraft knife isn't going to do you any good. Okay, here we go. Now I got to redo my fire too. Some of you may have seen this done before with the tea candle. I've never actually tried it with wood this wet. Go ahead and start that. All right. I had a perfect fire built there and then I tore it down, so. Okay.
That looks really wet.
Yeah, it's really wet.
I don't think the fire starter's going.
It is burning a little bit. That fire starter's not going.
I tried to use it before and I thought I had a hard time.
Oh, I thought there'd been more of it in there.
I know.
You used about half of it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna, Bearded Archer, we used half of your fire starter to start a fire back in the, when did you use it?
A couple weeks ago.
All right, let me get my fire starter. Hold on a second, man, I'll be right back. Go ahead and stop it. Bearded Archer, I'm sorry, that was our fault. So this is literally what's in my fire starting kit. This is a real fat wood. It's been used a couple times already, and it looks like it's still good. The stuff I actually have in my bug out bag is unused. But this is good stuff. You just can't see it that well because it's been used previously. So the idea is this would be dry in your pack. And of course, because this is on camera, you know, it might not work. The nice thing about this stuff is you find it out in the woods, and so you can replenish your supply at any time. There you go. Alright, I don't know how long to make you guys sit here and watch this. I tell you, we'll talk real quick. So, before we're about to cut away, Pastor Fox's objection actually wasn't that you couldn't start a fire without batoning. His objection was, hey, let me show you what batoning's good for, by the way. This is what they used batoning for in the old days, basket making. Alright, literally, they would take wood and keep splitting it basically the same way you baton until they had strips they could make baskets out of. Pastor Fox's assertion or contention was that you need to baton to make a fireboard, and if this video doesn't get too long, I will go sort of demonstrate why I don't think that is the case. In fact, we might do that while this fire gets going. My goal here is to boil some water over this. Looky there. Alright, there's still water down in the bottom of that tray. The rock is still damp, the wood is all wet. You saw what I used to start this fire. I used technically 2 matches, but 2 matches and stuff you pick up off the ground. And we were going to have a raging inferno before all this is done. Hey, girl. And no knife or tomahawk was used. Although, you know, so those fatwood pieces that I use, those I got with a tomahawk or an axe or something. I don't remember when I did it. Okay, we'll be back in just a second. Oh man, hey, real quick. I know you might not be able to see this because it's wet. It has been raining. This is fatwood. This is a tree I cut down back in I think it was June when I cut this down. And you can kind of see this just like all resiny. I could light this whole tree on fire with a match almost, and it would burn for days. Burn down into the ground and everything. But that's not what we're here for. We're going to show you how we can make a fireboard. I almost wanted to use that sourwood tree, but it's going to be too hard to get to. And sourwood is an extremely hard wood. I'm going to go ahead and use this pine tree. Like I said, it's been on the ground since June. I cut this down with the big axe, I think. I don't remember which one I used to cut this down. It was one of, jeez. You didn't see that. All right, so we're going to try to make a fireboard. I'm going to see if I can keep you guys on camera for the whole time, but it may not work just because it's going to be too long. But this is Pastor Fox's contention that fireboards, you kind of need to baton a fireboard. If you don't know what a fireboard is, it's what you use to make a friction fire. They're about 12 inches long, maybe 4 inches wide. All right.
We could do a time lapse.
Oh yeah, let's do a time lapse. All right, so I did that. Stupid. But it probably took me, what do you think, baby? You were standing there.
Oh, several minutes.
5 minutes, maybe. Now, that's not ideal. And if I hadn't been trying to do this on camera and been all stressed out about it, I would have gotten this whole board out in about 10 minutes. But this will work. We'll clean this up. And we'll have us a fireboard. That's it. We'll need to get a sharp edge right here, or not a sharp edge, but a flat edge on the side. But you can do just fine. And then you make your little hole right there and use fireboard. Now, I defer to Pastor Fox in almost all things, and you could make the argument that this would have been easier to do with a saw. There's a whole lot of reasons why that is not the case. At least long term, you might be able to do it once easier with a saw. I will do a whole nother video on that. But it was 5 minutes, maybe less. We got us a fireboard out of, is this yellow pine? Yeah, this is yellow pine. Yellow pine's a good hard, I mean it's a hard wood. It's not a hardwood, but you know, it's called a softwood, and that is not the correct terminology. This is a hardwood. All right, let's go check on that fire. All right, so there's our fire. Get down in there. You can still see the water down there in the tray. You watch me wet this wood with the water hose. I won't say like the prophet Isaiah. Isaiah? No, Elijah. Joshua.
I think.
Elijah. And you saw what I started with. It took 2 matches and some fat wood. And if we'd had all of the Bearded Archer's fat wood, if we hadn't used it before, it would have worked fine. But about, let's see, that's almost as much fat wood as I carry. I might carry a little bit more than that we use, but not much. And I showed you where you can find it in the woods. You can restock it anytime you please with fat wood. We made a fireboard. It ain't pretty. It's not a Dave Canterbury, you know, Wrangler Star Special. But we're talking about survival. We're talking about bug out. It works. And it frees you from the tyranny and weaknesses of a saws, which we will deal with in a video maybe next week. I'm really bad about making promises and not coming through with them when I say I'll make a video. So let me, just to recap, I'm not saying there's no use for batoning. There is. I'm saying in a survival situation where ounces are the difference between life and death, the capabilities of of having the stuff in order to baton is not a useful, is not worth the weight. It's not worth what it would cost. The weight is too much. The saw is too limited in its applications. You still need a chopping implement. You may not like it, but you know, if you're surviving, you still need a chopping implement. And all you have to do is look at our ancestors to see what they took when they went out into the wilderness. They took knives. I'm not carrying my pocket knife, but they took small knives. They took butcher knives. They took knives for dealing with food. When it came to everything else, they chopped. You know what? I'm gonna do one more thing while we're here. The other objection is that batoning saves calories. Now, I think this is a ridiculous assertion. Not every year, but lately, the last couple of years, I've tried to cut a cord of firewood by hand using the crosscut saw, and it's a lot of work. Now, Maui Doug pointed out, and he's right, that if I was trying to chop those individual pieces of firewood with an axe, it would be way more work. But my whole assertion is that there's no point, there's no need to cut wood for fires. That's a false, it's a false dichotomy. You know, you got to chop woods for fire. So no, that's not true. It's not really a dichotomy, but that's a falsehood. You don't have to chop wood for fire. I've shown that today. I will show it to you again. All right, that's less calories than a saw or an axe. But just let's just take it at face value for a minute. And let's say I'm going to baton this piece of wood, and this is my knife. And I get my other piece of wood, and I'm going to what motion is that? What is that? That's chopping. Please shut up. I'm sorry. No. I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be rude. There's those of you I admire and respect who like this, but to me it makes zero sense. How is this less calories than this? It's the same thing. And actually, there might be more opportunity for. Well, you're not using. Never mind. My point is, this makes zero sense to me from a standpoint of survival and bug out. It's if you're camping, if you're going on a camping trip and you're up in the woods, and you've walked your 5 miles to where you're going to be, and now you've got to occupy yourself for 2 days before you hike back out, or a day and a half, to be at work at Monday. Batoning makes a lot of sense because it keeps you occupied, and you have this nice little well-maintained campsite, and it looks all squared away. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not making baskets, where my basket went. We're not making nice little firewood stacks. We're starting, look, there we go. We're starting, I was going to boil water on this, but there's no need, y'all can see. We're making fires for survival, for warmth, for cooking. In actuality, in a real bug out, you don't sleep by your fire. You stop sometime like 2 or 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. You make a quick fire, you cook your food, you douse it, you move on a few more miles or as far as you can, and you have a cold camp because that fire, you know, gives away your position, especially at night when the smoke and the smell and the light goes for a long way. So on a bug out survival situation, you're only making small, quick little fires and you're moving again. And if that means you freeze to death, well, you weren't a good prepper. That sounds harsh, but you know what I'm saying. You know, none of us. This isn't a family camping trip we're talking about here. This is bug out. This is survival. This is a world without rule of law. You know, worst case scenario, there's chickens everywhere. Worst case scenario, there's malignant actors out there who want what you have. and you've got to move and keep going. So for me, for survival, for bug out, batoning is not a survival skill. It's not a useful skill for bug out or survival. Next week we will do the saw video. I will explain to you why I think survival saws are such a bad idea, why they're no good for that. And that should bring to a close our batoning trilogy, our batoning makes no sense trilogy. I might even make a playlist with the batoning makes no sense to me trilogy. Men, we thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. I have a hard time accepting this here no batoning fire, but it makes me feel all funny inside, like a hunk of burning love. Just a hunk of burning love. Oh, just a hunk of burning